My name is Clara, and my 35th birthday was the day my world finally fractured. For months, I'd been tucking money away for the perfect designer dress, giddy with the thought of celebrating at Elin, Boston's most celebrated restaurant. But when my niece Chloe, with a look of pure malice, flicked her wrist and sent her bright red cherry spritzer arcing across the table, time seemed to grind to a halt. The crimson liquid bloomed across the cream-colored fabric of my dress like a sudden violent wound. "There," she sneered, her 18-year-old face a mask of contempt. "Now you look as tacky as you actually are." My mother, sitting beside her, just reached over and gave her hand a comforting pat, a gesture of silent approval. I managed a tight smile, but deep inside, a foundation I had spent a lifetime building finally shattered. If you're listening to this, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscription, and please let me know where you're from in the comments. You won't believe what I did next. I've always been the reliable one, the anchor in my family's chaotic sea, while my sister Megan stayed rooted in our hometown, floating from one temp job to another. I took a leap and moved to Boston to carve out a real career in marketing. It was a grind, filled with sleepless nights and sheer determination. But I slowly clawed my way up from a junior associate to the executive director at one of the top agencies in New England. My apartment, with its sweeping views of the Charles River, was a quiet monument to those sacrifices. So was the polished obsidian of the luxury sedan I'd bought myself after my last big promotion, and the carefully selected pieces in my closet. Megan, who was 3 years my senior, had charted a very different course. She had Chloe at 19, dropped out of her paralegal program, and spent the next 2 decades navigating a turbulent series of boyfriends and jobs that never quite paid the bills. I never once judged her for the life she chose, but by default, I became the family's emergency fund. The calls were a familiar refrain. "Clara, the landlord is making threats again. I'm just a little short this month. Can you help? Just this once?" That one time became a monthly ritual. The car died again, and Chloe has a big competition this weekend. "Can you just wire me something?" The emergency credit card I had given Megan 2 years prior was supposed to be for true crises, a hospital visit, a burst pipe. Instead, it became her pass to a lifestyle she couldn't afford. Boutique shopping, spa days, and dinners at restaurants I knew were far beyond her budget. Month after month, I'd look at the statement, take a deep breath, and pay it off without a word. That's what family does, right? Family helps family. When Chloe turned 17 and needed a car to get to her extracurriculars, I was the one who bought it. Not a flashy sports car, but a safe, dependable sedan that I kept registered in my name to handle the insurance. "You can use it until you finish school," I explained, watching her face fall at the word use instead of own. My mother, Eleanor, was the architect of this entire dynamic. It started in childhood. I'd play a piano piece flawlessly at a recital and get a distracted, "That was nice, dear," while Megan would stumble through her song and receive a standing ovation from Mom for trying so hard. The precedent was set. When I won a full scholarship to a prestigious university, my mother called me lucky. When I landed my first job at a competitive marketing firm, she fretted, "But will you really have time for a career, Clara? It's so demanding." This pattern followed me relentlessly into adulthood. A promotion was met with, "I just hope you aren't overworking yourself, sweetheart." A financial milestone was dismissed with, "Well, money isn't the most important thing in life, is it?" All the while, Megan was praised as a woman with such a big heart who was doing her best against all odds, even as she created one financial disaster after another. Last month, I was promoted again, this time to Executive Vice President of Client Relations. The pay bump was significant, a life-altering amount. I called my mom, buzzing with the news. "That's lovely, honey," she said, her voice flat. "Did I mention Megan is thinking about a real estate course online? She's so courageous to be trying something new." Later that night, Megan called, ostensibly to congratulate me. "Must be nice," she sighed into the phone. "Some of us have real-world problems to deal with, not just fancy titles and corner offices." I could practically hear Chloe making sarcastic gagging sounds in the background, but despite it all, I loved them. They were my only family, and I clung to the belief that if I just did enough, achieved enough, gave enough, one day they would truly see me, and maybe, just maybe, they would be proud. That single, desperate hope kept me going through years of forgotten birthdays, thinly veiled insults, and relentless financial exploitation. So, as my 35th birthday approached, I decided this year would be the one. I would host a celebration at Elan, Boston's temple of modern cuisine. I would wear a dress that made me feel as successful as I was. I would invite my closest friends and, of course, my family. I thought that maybe, just maybe, if they were surrounded by the life I had built, they would finally understand my worth. Looking back now, I can see the raw desperation in that plan. I thought success was a currency that could buy their love, the same unconditional love I had always given them. I didn't yet understand that for some people, your light doesn't inspire them. It only reminds them of their own darkness. The planning for my birthday became an all-consuming project. Elan's reservations were notoriously difficult to secure, opening up 3 months in advance to the day. I set an alarm and called the very second their phone lines opened. When I booked the private dining room for 8 people on my actual birthday, a Saturday night, it felt like a cosmic sign. This was meant to be. The dress was the next mission. I wanted something that wasn't just clothing, but a statement. After 4 long weekends of boutique hopping, I found it, a breathtaking cream-colored silk sheath by a renowned designer that fell in a clean line to just below my knees, with a delicate scattering of crystals along the collar. The price tag read $4,000, more than I'd ever imagined spending on one piece of clothing. But when I slipped it on in the fitting room, a quiet certainty settled over me. This was it. The saleswoman beamed as I did a slow turn in front of the 3-way mirror. "A very special occasion?" she asked, while carefully wrapping the dress in layers of tissue paper. "My birthday," I said, a real smile finally reaching my eyes. "I'm having dinner at Elan." "How wonderful," she replied. "Your husband must be so proud of you." I just shook my head. "No husband, it's just me, celebrating me." She gave a knowing nod. "Even better, the invitations went out 6 weeks ahead of schedule. My friends, Grace, my rock from college, who was now a brilliant surgeon, Ben, my work confidant, and Liam and his husband, Mark, my hilarious neighbors, all replied with immediate enthusiastic yeses and offers to help. Inviting my family, however, was a different story. I called my mother first. "A Saturday night?" she said, sounding annoyed. "Clara, you know how bad the traffic into the city is on a weekend?" "I know, Mom," I said, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. "I can arrange a car service to pick you all up and bring you home." "We'll see," she huffed. "I'll have to talk to Megan. Chloe might have something going on." I swallowed the familiar lump of disappointment. "It's at Elan, Mom." The reservation was almost impossible to get. "It would mean the world to me if you could be there." "We'll try," she said, a non-committal promise I knew was tissue thin. Megan's reaction was even more deflating. "Elan? Isn't that one of those places that serves like foam and air? It's ridiculously expensive." "It's my treat for everyone," I assured her, my voice strained. "Well, Chloe will need a new dress. She can't exactly wear jeans to a place like that. I squeezed my eyes shut and counted to 10. I can send you some money for an outfit for her, if that helps. It's the least you could do, Megan said, her tone suggesting I was putting them out by inviting them to a dinner that would cost well over $1,000. And we might be a little late. Chloe has a dance workshop that ends at 6. On the morning of my birthday, I woke up with the sun. I had booked a full day of indulgence for myself, a massage, a facial, and a professional hair and makeup session. As I sipped my coffee and looked out over the sparkling river, I let myself feel a flicker of hope. Tonight, they would see. Tonight, surrounded by the tangible evidence of my hard work, my family would finally see me. They would understand the grit behind the luck they always spoke of. They would be proud. By 6 o'clock, I was ready. The dress felt like a second skin. My hair was styled in soft, elegant waves, and my makeup was subtle but flawless. I looked in the mirror and saw the woman I'd worked so hard to become, confident, successful, and worthy of a celebration. At the restaurant, the hostess greeted me by name. "Happy birthday, Miss Hayes. Your private room is all set and we have the champagne on ice just as you requested." My friends arrived at 6:30 sharp, their arms full of beautifully wrapped presents, and their faces full of genuine warmth. Grace hugged me tight. "Clara, you look absolutely breathtaking," she whispered. By 7:15, we were seated around the elegant table, but 3 chairs remained empty. I kept glancing at my phone as the amuse-bouche was served. "Should we wait?" Ben asked gently. I forced a smile and shook my head. "No, let's go ahead. They'll get here when they get here." At 7:45, just as the second course was being placed before us, my family finally swept in. My mother led the way, wearing the same floral dress she wore to every semi-formal event. Megan followed, her face a mask of irritation, and trailing behind them was Chloe, already absorbed in her phone, dressed in a crop top and a mini-skirt that were glaringly out of place. "Sorry we're late," my mother announced, with an air that was anything but apologetic. The traffic was just a nightmare. The staff seamlessly took their coats and served their first course as we tried to resume our meal. The conversation immediately became stilted. My friends, bless them, did their best to bridge the gap, asking my family polite questions that were met with one-word answers. "So, Chloe," Liam said kindly, "Clara tells us you're an incredible dancer." Chloe just shrugged, not even looking up from her phone. "I'm okay. She's phenomenal," my mother cut in. "Her instructor says she has professional potential." Megan nodded with pride. "She just needs access to better opportunities. The studios in our town are so limited." I saw the opening and, against my better judgment, took it. If Chloe's serious about it, I could help her look into some summer intensives here in Boston. They have world-class programs. "Not all of us can afford to live in luxury penthouses, Clara," Megan snapped. "Some of us just have to make do." A thick silence fell over the table. Mark caught my eye, a single raised eyebrow asking a silent question. I gave a tiny, almost imperceptible shake of my head. Not tonight. As the evening wore on, the chasm between my friends and my family grew wider. My friends toasted me with stories that highlighted my loyalty and humor. My family sat in rigid silence, offering only the occasional barbed comment. When it was time for toasts, Grace raised her glass. "To Clara, who has been my guiding star for 15 years, your generosity is matched only by your resilience. I'm so incredibly proud to be your friend." When it was my family's turn, my mother simply said, "Happy birthday, dear. 35 already. My, how time flies." Megan reluctantly lifted her glass. "To my little sister, always reaching for the sky while the rest of us keep our feet on the ground." Chloe didn't toast at all, her thumbs flying across her phone screen under the table. The gift opening was just as excruciating. My friends had pooled their resources for a stunning vintage leather briefcase with my initials embossed in gold leaf. Liam and Mark gave me a gift certificate for a weekend getaway at a spa in Vermont. Each gift was personal, thoughtful, and came with a card filled with heartfelt words. When I opened Megan's gift, I fought to keep my expression neutral. It was a cheap, vanilla-scented candle from a discount store, still in the flimsy bag with a bright orange clearance sticker on it. The card, clearly a last-minute gas station purchase, just said, "Happy B-Day, sis," with their names scrawled inside. "Thank you," I said, my voice quiet as I placed it beside the other gifts. "It's lovely." "Well, we can't all afford extravagant presents," Megan said, her voice sharp and defensive. "Some of us have actual bills to pay." The dessert arrived, a magnificent chocolate sculpture adorned with edible flowers, with "Happy Birthday," Clara scripted in gold leaf across the plate. As the waiter detailed its complex components, I noticed Chloe's expression sour. She had been sulky all night, but now a new, calculating glint appeared in her eyes. The presentation was stunning, complete with a lit sparkler that cast a festive glow and drew appreciative glances from other tables. For a fleeting moment, I felt a surge of pride. This was my life, the one I had forged from sheer will. I allowed myself that 1 second of unapologetic joy, and that's when I saw Chloe lean over and whisper something to Megan, who let out a small, cruel smirk and whispered back. My mother then leaned in, completing their secretive huddle. All three of them glanced at me, their expressions making my stomach clench. "Is everything all right?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Just perfect," my mother said smoothly. "Chloe was just admiring how elaborate everything is." I turned to my niece, determined to make one last effort. "I'm so glad you could come, Chloe. I know weekend nights can be busy for you." Chloe looked me dead in the eye for the first time all evening. "Yeah, whatever. Must be nice to throw away money like this when people are starving in the world." "Chloe," Megan said, but her tone held no real heat. "Be nice. It's your aunt's birthday." My friends were now shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Ben cleared his throat. "So, Clara was saying you might be looking at colleges soon, Chloe. Have you thought about what you might want to major in?" Chloe rolled her eyes dramatically. "Not everyone just gets to go to college. Some of us have to work." "Actually," I interjected, choosing my words with care, "I've been setting aside some money for your education. There are some fantastic dance programs that offer scholarships too." The table went dead silent. This was news to everyone, including Megan, who stared at me, her expression a mixture of confusion and suspicion. "What are you talking about, setting aside money?" she demanded. "A college fund," I explained. "I started it for Chloe right after she was born. It's not a fortune, but it's enough to cover a state university, or at least community college to start." My mother frowned. "You never said a word about this." I wanted it to be a surprise for when the time came. And since Chloe's starting to think about her future, I thought now was a good time to mention it. But instead of gratitude, I watched 3 faces simultaneously harden with resentment. My mother's lips thinned into a disapproving line. Megan's eyes narrowed into slits. And Chloe, looking angrier than ever, gripped her water glass so hard her knuckles turned white. "So you've just been sitting on a pile of cash this whole time while we were barely scraping by?" Megan's voice had that sharp, dangerous edge I remembered from childhood fights. While I was working 2 jobs, while Mom had to dip into her retirement savings to help me make rent. "That's not what I said," I started, feeling the beautiful evening I'd so carefully constructed crumbling around me. The money was specifically for Chloe's education. It's in a trust. Always the martyr, Megan sneered, always finding a way to make the rest of us feel small. My friends were now visibly distressed. Grace put a supportive hand on my arm, but what could she possibly say? This was a private, ugly family matter being publicly dissected. "Let's just have dessert," I suggested, my voice weak as I tried to steer us back from the brink. "We can talk about the college fund some other time." "No, let's talk about it now," Chloe suddenly piped up, her voice sharp. "I don't want your charity. I don't need anything from you." "Chloe, darling," my mother began, "your aunt is just trying to help. She's trying to control us, like she always does." Chloe shot back, her voice rising, strutting around in her fancy clothes, acting like she's better than us just because she has money, acting like we should all get on our knees and thank her for the scraps she throws our way. The restaurant seemed to fall silent around our table, though I knew it was just my own senses narrowing to this single horrific moment. The evening I had spent months dreaming of was turning into a public spectacle of humiliation. "That's not true," I said quietly. "I love you. I want to help because you're my niece, and I care about your future." Chloe stood up so abruptly her chair nearly tipped over. She grabbed her glass, which was nearly full of a bright red cherry spritzer the restaurant had made for her. "You want to know what I think of your help?" she spat, her voice now trembling with rage. "You want to know what I think of your fancy dress and your fancy restaurant?" Before I could even process what was happening, she flung the contents of the glass directly at me. The icy liquid shocked my system, soaking my chest and face, and instantly staining the pristine cream silk of my $4,000 dress. The red rivulets ran down the fabric like bleeding wounds. In the stunned, echoing silence that followed, Chloe delivered the final, devastating blow. "Now you look as cheap as you really are." My friends gasped in unison. Liam started to rise from his chair, but I held up a hand to stop him. The restaurant was definitely quiet now. I could feel the eyes of every other diner fixed on our table. I waited, my heart pounding, for my mother to reprimand Chloe, to apologize, to do something to acknowledge the sheer cruelty of the act. Instead, she just reached out and patted Chloe's hand. "I think it's time we left," she said, standing up. "Clara, this was all a bit much for her. You know how teenagers get when they feel out of place." Megan was already grabbing her purse, eager to escape. "We told you this place was too pretentious. You should have just had a simple barbecue if you really wanted us to be comfortable." I sat there, frozen, the sticky red liquid dripping from my ruined dress onto the starched white tablecloth. I felt 100 pairs of eyes on me, a mixture of pity and morbid curiosity. A waiter hovered nearby, paralyzed with uncertainty. "It's fine," I heard myself say, my voice impossibly steady. "Thank you for coming." As they walked away without a backward glance, leaving me humiliated in front of my friends and a room full of strangers, I kept my composure. I dabbed uselessly at the stain with my napkin. I even managed a brittle smile for my worried friends. "Well," I said, my voice cracking just a little, "I guess the party's over." Grace immediately slid into the empty chair beside me, wrapping a strong arm around my shoulders. "Clara, I am so sorry. That was beyond unacceptable." Ben was already speaking quietly with the manager, handling the bill, but I barely registered their kindness. I was numb. The drive home was a blur. I refused my friends' offers to come with me, needing the solitude. Back in my apartment, the silence was deafening. I looked at myself in the mirror. The vibrant red stain stood out like a brand against the pale silk. My makeup was streaked with tears I hadn't even realized I'd shed. The woman staring back at me looked broken. I sank onto my couch, and for the first time did what I should have done years ago. I looked at the cold, hard facts. I pulled up my banking app and started scrolling. Tens of thousands of dollars, a steady stream flowing from my accounts to prop up my sister and her daughter. I looked at the credit card statements, endless charges at department stores, day spas, and restaurants that Megan could never dream of affording on her own. Then I opened my phone to social media, and my blood ran cold. Chloe had already posted about the night. It was a blurry photo of me, my face a mask of shock, the red stain blooming on my dress. The caption read, "When rich auntie needs to be brought down a notch, sorry not sorry cheap." The post was already flooded with likes and laughing emojis, including one from my own sister Megan. And in that precise moment, something inside me didn't just break, it sheared away completely. The desperate need for their approval, the deep-seated hope for their love, the ingrained habit of letting myself be used, it all vanished. What was left was a cold, hard clarity I had never known before. I picked up my phone again. I made 2 calls. The first was to my credit card company. The second was to my lawyer. Alone in my silent apartment, I finally managed to peel off the ruined dress. $4,000 of silk and crystals, destroyed in a single hateful moment. I hung it on the back of my bathroom door, a crimson-stained monument to the night my life changed. The shower water was scalding hot as I scrubbed the sticky juice from my skin, but it couldn't wash away the years of quiet humiliation. My mind replayed a highlight reel of slights. Megan accidentally spilling a glass of red wine on my college graduation dress, Chloe conveniently forgetting to invite me to family holidays, my mother dismissing every single one of my accomplishments with faint praise before immediately changing the subject to Megan's latest drama. Why had I tolerated it for so long? The question hammered at me as I wrapped myself in a robe and sat on the edge of my bed, the city lights twinkling obliviously outside. My phone buzzed with texts from my friends. Grace, "Are you okay? Do you want me to come over?" Liam, "That was unforgivable. We're here for you, whatever you need." Ben, "Just say the word and I will help you write the most epic goodbye to toxic people email ever." I appreciated their love, but I needed to be alone to chart my new course. For the first time, I was seeing the family dynamic not as a messy tangle of love and obligation, but as a parasitic relationship. I had been their bank, their therapist, and their punching bag. Opening my laptop, I began to build my case. The evidence was staggering. Over the last 5 years alone, I'd given Megan over $82,000 in direct emergency transfers. The credit card I'd foolishly added her to as an authorized user showed monthly totals that made my stomach churn. Not groceries and gas, but luxuries. The car I'd bought for Chloe 2 years ago had cost $35,000. I paid the insurance, the maintenance, and even sent a monthly stipend to Megan supposedly for gas. It was legally my car, but Chloe flaunted it on social media like a trophy, with captions like "my new whip" and "living the good life." Speaking of social media, I forced myself to look again. Chloe had posted more. There was a secretly recorded video of me opening Megan's cheap candle with the caption, "Auntie pretending to like her dollar store gift while wearing a $4,000 dress. Fake rich people problems." The comments from her friends were vile. Did she cry? Bet she has 10 more just like it. Good for you for putting her in her place. And there, under several of them, was my sister's account, leaving laughing emojis. My phone rang, startling me. It was Grace again. I answered, my voice stronger than I expected. "I'm okay," I told her. "No, actually, I'm better than okay. I think I'm finally awake." "What are you going to do?" she asked. "What I should have done a decade ago," I said. "I'm cutting the cord." After we hung up, I made a list. The credit card was first. As the primary account holder, I could remove Megan with a single phone call. The car was legally mine. The registration was in my name. The automatic monthly transfers to Megan's bank account could be stopped with a few clicks on my laptop. For the next hour, I executed my plan with cold precision. I called the credit card company and reported the card as compromised by a user who was no longer authorized. They immediately deactivated Megan's card and issued a new one for me. I logged into my bank and canceled the recurring transfers. I researched and contacted a reputable towing company to arrange for the retrieval of my vehicle. Every action felt like a strange mix of nauseating guilt and exhilarating relief. The guilt was a deeply programmed response, the little voice whispering that family is sacred, but the relief was a new sensation, a lightness that came with finally drawing a line in the sand. At around 2 a.m, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Megan had tried to use the card at a 24-hour pharmacy and been declined. Her texts went from confused to furious in under 60 seconds. Cards not working. Call the bank. Hello? I'm stuck here. What the hell, Clara? Answer your phone. Are you seriously this petty? I switched my phone to silent and went to sleep. I slept without dreaming for the first time in years. The morning brought a fresh onslaught of messages, including several from my mother, accusing me of being cruel and vindictive. Your sister needs that card for emergencies, Clara. What happened at dinner is no reason to cut her off financially. I didn't reply. Instead, I confirmed the tow with the company, arranging for them to pick up the car from the high school parking lot where Chloe would leave it during her morning dance practice. I emailed them the registration and proof of ownership. We'll have it back at your building by noon, ma'am, the dispatcher said. I called my office and took a personal day. Then, I called my financial advisor to schedule an emergency meeting. I wanted to see in black and white what my life could look like without the constant financial bleed. At exactly 7:50 a.m., my phone rang. It was Chloe, her voice a high-pitched shriek of panic. My car is gone. Someone stole my car from the school. I took a slow, deliberate breath. It's not your car, Chloe. It's my car. I bought it, I pay for it, and my name is on the title. I've had it returned to me. There was a beat of stunned silence, then an explosion. You can't do that. How am I supposed to get to dance? To school? This is illegal. It's perfectly legal, I said calmly. As I told you, it's my property. Is this because of last night? Are you really that childish? It was a joke. Publicly humiliating me, ruining my property, and posting it online for the world to see is not a joke, Chloe. Those were deliberate, cruel acts. And yes, this is the consequence. The car was always alone. I am simply revoking that privilege. She started to cry then, the same manipulative sobs she'd used to get her way since she was a toddler. Please, Aunt Clara, I need that car. I'll do anything. I'll take the post down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, I said, and I was surprised to find that I meant it. But my decision is final. I hung up while she was still pleading. Within a minute, Megan was calling. I let it go to voicemail and listened to her screaming message about how I was a monster, ruining her daughter's future over a little spilled drink. My mother called next, her voice thick with tears, begging me not to punish Chloe for one little mistake. One mistake, as if last night wasn't the culmination of 2 decades of disrespect, as if I hadn't spent my entire adult life being treated as both an ATM and an emotional dumpster. I sent a group text to all 3 of them. I am available to meet at my apartment at 3 p.m. this afternoon. We have a great deal to discuss about the future of our relationship. Then I began to prepare. I printed out the bank statements, the credit card bills, the car loan documents, and the screenshots of Chloe's posts. By the time they walked through my door, I would be ready to show them, in undeniable detail, exactly what their behavior had cost them. The tow truck driver called at 11:30. "We've got the vehicle, ma'am." There was a young lady who tried to stop us, but we showed her the paperwork and explained the situation. "Thank you for your professionalism," I said, adding a generous tip to the payment. I ordered lunch, ate it slowly, and steeled myself for the storm to come. For the first time I could remember, I wasn't afraid of their anger or their disappointment. Their power over me had been dissolved by one cherry red stain and a long overdue moment of clarity. They arrived at my apartment like a conquering army, Megan storming in first with barely contained rage, Chloe sulking behind her with puffy eyes, and my mother bringing up the rear, her face a mask of sorrowful disappointment that had worked on me since childhood. "Sit down," I said, gesturing to the dining table where I'd laid out the folders of documents like a legal deposition. "I'm not sitting anywhere until you explain yourself," Megan snapped. "How dare you leave my daughter stranded? How dare you cut off my credit card?" I remained standing, my calm a stark contrast to her fury. "The car is mine. The credit card is mine. I gave you access to both out of a sense of family obligation. That obligation is now over." "Natalie, honey," my mother began, stepping into her familiar peacemaker role. "I know you're hurt, but this is a wild overreaction." "Is it?" I asked, finally taking a seat at the head of the table. "Please sit. I want to show you something." Reluctantly, they sat. I slid the first folder across the polished wood table. "These are my bank records from the last 5 years. They detail every single transfer I made to your account, Megan. The total is $82,450. Megan's jaw dropped, but she stayed silent. I pushed the next folder forward. "These are the credit card statements for the emergency card. The total charges you made come to $33,700. They include spa days, concert tickets, and clothes from high-end boutiques. Not exactly emergencies." "You're lucky to have that kind of money," my mother mumbled. "I'm not lucky," I corrected her, my voice sharp. "I worked for it. I sacrificed for it. I earned it." I slid the final folder toward Chloe. "This is the purchase agreement for the car. $35,000 plus another $4,000 a year in insurance and maintenance. All paid by me." For the first time, Chloe had the grace to look ashamed, her eyes fixed on the table. "The total financial support I have provided in the last 5 years," I stated, my voice clear and steady, "is over $120,000, given freely because I loved you." The room was utterly silent. Seeing the number in black and white seemed to finally break through their denial. "And this," I said, placing my tablet on the table and swiping it on to show Chloe's social media page, "is how I was repaid." I made them look at the picture of my ruined dress, the mocking videos, the cruel comments. "Chloe, would you care to explain why you thought it was acceptable to publicly humiliate me?" She just mumbled, "It was a joke." "A joke is something people laugh at together," I said. Was I laughing? Did you think I'd find it funny to have a $4,000 dress destroyed? "You can afford another one," she muttered. "This isn't about the dress. It's about a basic lack of respect, a lack of human decency." I turned to Megan. "And you. You encouraged her. You liked her posts. You laughed at my humiliation." "I didn't think it was that serious," she said weakly. "And you," I said, my gaze finally landing on my mother. "When your granddaughter committed an act of vandalism and cruelty, you consoled her. You treated her like the victim." My mother looked genuinely bewildered. She was upset. She was a bully. "And you enabled her," I shot back. "My entire life, you have enabled her mother, and you have dismissed me. I am done." Vanessa seemed to finally understand, the ground crumbling beneath her feet. So what? You're just cutting us off? Completely? I am setting boundaries, I clarified. The money is stopped. The car is gone. The free ride is over. But how will I get to dance? Chloe cried out, her voice cracking. How will I get to school? Walk. Take a bus. Make friends. Figure it out, just like every other teenager who doesn't have a rich aunt to fund their life. This isn't fair. Neither is being treated like a walking wallet and an emotional punching bag, I retorted. What about the college fund? Megan asked, a desperate edge to her voice. The college fund remains in a trust, I confirmed. It was always for Chloe's education, and it will be there for her when she enrolls in an accredited institution. But everything else, the daily support, the shopping sprees, the car, that's all over. A heavy silence descended. Their usual tactics, the anger, the tears, the guilt, were having no effect. I can't believe you'd do this to your own family, my mother said, her last-ditch effort at emotional blackmail. What family? I asked, my voice softer now. When have any of you ever acted like my family? When have you supported me? Celebrated me without jealousy? Showed me an ounce of the consideration I've shown you? She had no answer. Megan, ever the pragmatist, shifted gears. Okay, we messed up. We're sorry. What do you need from us to fix this? This can't be fixed with a quick apology, I said, standing up and walking to the door. This is about a fundamental breakdown in our relationship. I need space. And you all need to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. I opened the door, a clear dismissal. I do love you, I said, surprised to find it was still true. But I will no longer allow that love to be an excuse for you to treat me poorly. They filed out in silence, the weight of their new reality finally sinking in. As my mother passed me, she paused. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I know, I said, but you did, over and over, and now we all have to live with the consequences. The door clicked shut, and in the sudden, profound quiet of my apartment, I felt a single unfamiliar sensation: freedom. 6 months passed, the world turned, spring melted into a sweltering summer, and summer cooled into a crisp autumn. My life and my family began to change. The first month was a barrage of angry texts and tearful voicemails, which I met with calm, factual responses, refusing to be drawn into the drama. Then, for 2 weeks, there was silence. A silence that was both agonizing and deeply peaceful. The first crack of light came as a text from Chloe. Got a job at the mall, saving up for a car, not asking for anything, just thought you should know. That simple message, devoid of expectation or manipulation, was the first sign of new growth. I texted back a single sentence: I'm proud of you. Megan's journey was harder. My mother told me she went through phases of rage and depression before landing in a state of reluctant acceptance. 3 months after our confrontation, she found a better-paying job as an office manager and moved into a smaller, more affordable apartment. Her first direct message to me was stunning in its honesty. Thank you for kicking me out of the nest. I hate how it happened, but I needed it. My mother was the slowest to change. Decades of her established patterns were hard to break. We started with short weekly phone calls that I kept strictly neutral. If she started to complain about how Megan and Chloe were struggling, I would gently redirect. I'm glad to hear Megan is enjoying her new job, I'd say. That must be a relief. Slowly, she began to ask me about my life, my work, my friends, with something that sounded like genuine curiosity. During one call, she said, "You sound different, Clara. Happier." I am, I told her. Setting boundaries was the best thing I ever did for myself. I can see that, she said, her voice thoughtful. I just wish I had been better at seeing you all along. It wasn't an apology, but it was close. By the 6-month mark, we had tentatively re-established family dinners, not at lavish restaurants, but at my mother's home. Simple meals where we were all learning a new, less transactional way of being together. Chloe, now working part-time and seriously focused on her college applications, had matured in a way that astonished me. After one dinner, she asked to speak to me alone. "I need to properly apologize," she said, looking me straight in the eye. "What I did on your birthday was horrible. I was just so jealous of you. Your whole life seemed so perfect and easy." "It was never easy," I told her honestly. "The only difference is that I took responsibility for my choices." "I get that now," she nodded. "Working for minimum wage is humbling." The college fund was still there, and her gratitude for it was now palpable and real. As we walked back inside, she asked quietly, "Are we okay? You and me?" "We're getting there," I said. "Trust takes time." Without the constant financial and emotional drain, my own life was blossoming. I took a photography class, started dating, and even booked a 2-week trip to Italy. When my 36th birthday rolled around, I planned a simple get-together at my mother's house. Just family and my closest friends. As we sat around the dining table, I looked at them, still flawed, still a work in progress, but trying. Chloe had made me a card. Megan had bought me a small, thoughtful gift she could actually afford. My mother had cooked all my childhood favorites. When it was time for toasts, my mother stood up. To my daughter Clara, she said, her voice clear and strong, "Who was brave enough to teach us all how to be a better family? Who loved us enough to stop letting us be our worst selves? I am so proud of the woman you are, and so grateful I finally get to know her." Tears welled in my eyes. The journey had been brutal, but the destination was something I never thought possible, a family being rebuilt on a foundation of respect. Later, as the party wound down, Chloe handed me an envelope. "From my job," she said, her cheeks flushed. "It's not much, but I wanted to start paying you back." Inside was $200 in crisp $20 bills. I took the envelope, understanding it wasn't about the money. It was about accountability. Driving home that night, I thought about how sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Sometimes the strongest boundaries are the most necessary, and sometimes a family has to completely fall apart before it can be put back together, stronger than before. If you've ever had to set difficult boundaries with people you love, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. How did you do it? What did you learn? And if this story resonated with you, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with anyone who might need to hear that their own well-being matters too. Thank you for listening. May you find the strength to honor yourself in all your relationships.